Please help me welcome into this interview a very reverend father who was just celebrated in his Golden Jubilee, 50 years of nothing but pure dedication and service. This father was recently inducted into the International Cleveland Hall of Fame. This father is the current chancellor of the Diocese of Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. This father was also very close and a disciple to our beloved Pope Shenouda III. This very reverend father established the church in Bolivia, Brazil, and also was the very first father to establish the church in Mexico and gave the very first communion in the very first liturgy in that country. This wonderful father started his service when he was very young, and he was fully consecrated as a deacon when he was just sent to New York in 1973 to serve. At that time, he was only 23 years old. A year later, he was ordained a priest and immediately started his service in Cleveland, Ohio, and also established the very first church in that state and throughout the state and in the rest of the diocese. It is an honor and a true pleasure to interview and to get to know every day and learn more from this wonderful father who I have the pleasure of calling a genuine father, Abuna Mikhail. So, Abuna, we are very honored to have you in CYC.
My honor.
The pleasure and the honor is truly ours. And I know there's really not enough days to actually go through your amazing life and all of your accomplishments. But today we're just gonna take it step by step, and we're gonna maybe try to capture and summarize a lot of the major milestones that you've been through.
Okay.
So, Abuna, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood and a little bit about growing up and your family way before the service?
Okay. I was born in August 2nd, 1949, of a good Christian family. My father was a mathematics teacher. My mother was a housewife. And I have two brothers. I had two brothers and two sisters. One of my brother passed away in the Egyptian army. The other brother, thank God, still alive in Egypt. He was a dentist. And I have another two sisters. They live with me here in Cleveland. I was baptized in the St. George Church in El Dahir, and I was raised in St. Mary Church in El Fagala, Cairo, until I start to serve as a Sunday school teacher in the same church. I joined the seminary in 1968, and I was full-time student for 4 years, and after that I start my devotion life.
Wow. So even just right there when you were young في كنيسة Saint Mary الفجالة العذراء الفجالة, you were already a Sunday school teacher and you started technically serving in that fashion early on.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit more, Abuna, about then your service when you actually were ordained a priest? How did that happen, or how did that start in Egypt first?
I was graduated from the Coptic Orthodox Seminary in 1972, in May 1972. Pope Shenouda was the Pope of Alexandria and the Patriarch of the See of St. Mark in November 1971. When I was in the seminary, he was the dean of the seminary.
Hmm.
So upon our graduation, we are the first class that graduated after His Holiness was ordained as the Pope. He said, I would like to send to all of you as assistant priest or full-time deacon to serve in Cairo churches. So he sent me to St. Mary Masarra in Shobra for 1 year. I served as assistant priest, or as you can say, full-time deacon, and it was a wonderful experience um, to serve as assistant priest and to learn from the other priest and to have a good experience. After this 1 year, His Holiness asked me, or he wanted me to come to America also as a full-time deacon or assistant priest, and I was the first one. He sent me in Queens, New York, St. Mary and St. Antonius Coptic Orthodox Church in Queens, and I served with Abuna Yohanna Tadros for a whole year, exactly for a whole year.
And that was, Abuna, your first time entering the U.S.
Exactly.
That was 1973.
Yes.
And at that point, you were still a brand new
priest.
assistant priest, basically a consecrated deacon.
In a way, yes.
Right? Okay.
Because I had subdeacons. I was subdeacons. The capacity of full deacon, because you cannot be a full-time deacon and you get married after that. So at that time I was not married. So His Holiness gave us the rank of assistant deacon or subdeacons.
Mm-hmm.
And when I returned back of New York, I spent exactly 1 year. 12 of April 73, I returned back 12 of April 74.
Great. And then, so you spent an entire year, which again we mentioned in New York, 1 year, and then returned back to Cairo.
Yes.
So then, can you tell us, Abuna, when you returned back to Cairo, immediately what did Pope Shenouda decide on doing? Because I believe this is when you then started your service back in the U.S. So tell us, how did that happen? After New York, you went back to Cairo, and then Pope Shenouda decided on what?
When I returned back to Egypt, it was a Thursday, Holy Thursday. I met His Holiness Good Friday in the big cathedral, and he welcomed me and he said, meet me at the monastery of Ambabshoy on Monday, Sham al-Nisim, in 1974. I met His Holiness, and he asked me about my ministry as assistant priest in New York area. I shared with him what happened. At that time, I remember he said, write for me a full report. And I wrote it for His Holiness. He corrected something and he put it in El Karaza magazine after 2-3 weeks of my return.
Mm-hmm.
Then His Holiness asked me a very critical question. What is next? What do you think? What can we do next? I say, Your Holiness, I don't have any preference for myself. I always, and this is my way with His Holiness, I always trust your judgment, your decision, and I took it from God's hand. Then His Holiness said, suppose you have a choice, what can I do? What can we do?
Yeah.
I told him, if we have a choice, I prefer to stay as assistant priest as long as I can. And this is really my deep feeling, because to serve as assistant priest is not a big responsibility as a priest. In the same time, I am a full-time servant. It does not matter for me to be a priest or assistant priest as long as I devote my life for the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Then His Holiness looked at me and said, well, no, you don't have to continue as a deacon. I would like to ordain you as a priest. In my heart, I said, Tobo, you ask me. But I am a seminarian. I know that I devote my life when I entered the seminary. I was full-time student in the seminary. I know that one day I will be as a monk or a priest or a custodian in the church. I devote my life. But it was like a shock. But in the same time, this is what I believe. The decision from Pope Shenouda, it's from God. So I found myself, I cannot talk anything. I said, go and get married.
I was just going to ask that because at this point, if we're following along, you were still a dedicated, deacon, non-married.
Yeah.
So then he says, go and get married. So, and I know at that time there was no online dating websites, right? So how did you?
I will
So,
share it with you.
yeah, how did you meet the wonderful Tansihan?
It was, as I said, April 14, 15. And he said, I would like to ordain you in June 2nd.
Oh, wow. 2 months.
74, 2 months, because it was the feast day of the Pentecost. This is a celebration. Then come to my wife, Siham. When I served as assistant priest in Masarra, Siham was served in this church. She had been raised in this church. I was not from Masarra, but she had been raised over there, and she served as the youth ladies meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I know of her, and I met her several times before. She was in my mind, but I don't know. Then I went and I approached her family, and I proposed, and they agreed. At that time, my father-in-law said, "Well, we don't mind at all. We like you, know you, but please don't go back to America."
That kind of shart, that was yani the
And I share this with His Holiness. So what happened after 1 month after we get married? We get married in May 11, 74, and less than 1 month from what His Holiness told us, because
wow.
the ordination in June.
Yes.
Then after that, His Holiness sent to me and said, "Well, usually I would like to ordain a group of priests, 3 or 4. You are the only one available now, so we postponed your ordination to the Feast of Saint Mary." It was a relief to know Siham more,
Yes.
And yes, and on the ordination, it was August 23rd, 74, which is the feast day of Saint Mary.
Yes.
How the ordination and where it happened? When the people in Masarra, whom I serve as assistant priest, and when I came back, also these 2-3 months I served in Masarra as assistant priest, they went to His Holiness and said, as long as you are going to ordain, my name was Munir, how about to ordain him in our church, Masarra?
Mm-hmm.
So His Holiness said, in one condition, I will ordain him in Masarra and in America, and I will send him to serve in America again. Mm. And I forgot to tell you, on my wedding day, we went to the cathedral residency of His Holiness, and he welcomed us on the day of my wedding.
Oh, wow.
The two families. Mm. And I give idea that my father-in-law said, well, but don't go America. And His Holiness said, by the way, when I ordained Dominier, I ordained him. He will serve here in Masarra for a while, but I will send him to America. Mm. And of course, no, they can talk. So it happened on the day of the ordination. They rank us as a full deacon before the ordination of, and it was His Holiness chose Aghason, the Metropolitan of Ismailia, to rank me from sub-deacon to full deacon, and then the same day we have the priesthood. Mm. We were 4 were ordained together. The announcement of the ordination was a little bit astonished. His Holiness said, we call you priest on St. Mary Church in Masharra, and also to serve in the state, in the churches in America. At that time, Cleveland was not in the picture at all. His Holiness told me, I will send you back to New York and to New Jersey. He wanted me to serve as a priest in 2 churches. St. Mary Church in Queens, and St. Shnoda and Mary Gerges St. George in New Jersey, Jersey City, to serve in both. Because at that time was only have 7-8 priests in all North America.
And this was about maybe 4 or 5 months after you came back from New York the first time?
The first time I came in April 74.
Yep.
And he sent me, I came to America, to Queens, as I said, April 30, 75.
75.
The decision to go back to New York and to Queens, to New York and to New Jersey.
Okay.
This is what is his mind. And when he said, I ordained you at St. Mary Church and to serve in the churches in America, he didn't designate, he didn't say which one. But in his mind, what he told me, to serve in Queens and to New Jersey. But in March, His Holiness sent me and he told me someone came from Cleveland, Ohio, and they would like to have a priest. And I told them I have one priest ready to go, but I have to ask him. His Holiness said, what do you think? I said, Your Holiness, as you teach us, I cannot choose for myself. You direct me and I will do whatever you order me to do. His Holiness said, I told you before that you can serve in Queens and New Jersey, but now it's good to open a new church. Because at that time, Cleveland only served by late Father Marcos Elias from Toronto, once a month, once every 2 months. And so I said, it's good to establish a new church in Cleveland. At that time, all the Midwest only, we have one priest in Chicago, Father Morris Bishai, who came 1 year before me. So when I came, we almost divided the Midwest between him and me. So I served Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, even up to Morgantown, West Virginia, and later on I also went to Minnesota, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we were only 2 priests in the Midwest in 1975.
Wow.
So this is
and this is how Cleveland basically was established.
exact. I came to Cleveland April 30, 1975.
75. And Cleveland was obviously put in the map, and the church was established in Cleveland, which to my knowledge was the first church for sure in all of Ohio. And then from there, Abuna, you also established the other churches in the state of Ohio.
Absolutely. We have a church. I serve Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati, Toledo, Youngstown, Warren, all the cities. I used to, of course, my center in Cleveland, all the week, sometimes Thursday evening or afternoon, or Friday morning, I go to one of these towns or this city, and we used to rent a church, and we make the service for the people over there. All these people from all this state of Ohio and the other states around us used to come and pray with us during the feast days like Christmas and the resurrections and so on.
Wow.
And year after year, we established some churches. Now we have a church in Columbus, another church in Columbus. We have a church in Dayton and Cincinnati. We have a church in Toledo. We have the nunnery in Warren, Ohio. So all this area.
And now even St. Peter and St. George also in Westlake.
Another church in Cleveland, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so it's grown,
grown
very much. Yeah. Yeah, this is fantastic. It's super great. And I also, since we are speaking about the diocese, you also, I believe Pope Shenouda appointed you to be the chancellor, اللي هو الوكيل المطرانية في Ohio, Michigan.
Pope Shenouda. We had our great bishop, Ambassador 7 years ago. So the bishop is the one who appointed the chancellor, not the Pope. At that time, Pope Shenouda passed away. He passed away in 2012. So during the papacy of Pope Tawadros, who chose for us Amba Sarafim to be our bishop, the Bishop of Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. And when the bishop came here, I was the first among all the other priests in Midwest. And His Grace asked the other priests about if we can appoint the Abuna Mikhail as a chancellor, and all of them agree. And I have been his chancellor since that time.